morning, Scotland. Good morning, social media land. I hope you are well. It is Tuesday, the 4th of March, 2025. Scotland has always defended its right to govern itself, and now that right is under attack. Reform UK is not just another political party. They are an organised effort to strip Scotland of its power, dismantle its institutions, and force Westminster control upon us. Their rise is not an accident. It's happening because they believe Scotland will sit back and let it happen. They are wrong. The people of Scotland may have very different views on independence, different parties, different loyalties, different ideas about the future. But we all share one fundamental belief. Scotland should have the power to make its own decisions. Most of us believe that. And those that don't, well, they probably laugh as Reform UK took that power away. They are probably proto-fascist Farage fanboys. That belief in Scotland's right to govern itself is bigger than the SNP, bigger than Labour, bigger than the Tories, bigger than any political entity in Scotland. Even the fiercest opponents in Scotland's political scene agree on one thing. Devolution should not be dismantled. You don't hear Anna Sarwar calling for Holyrood to be shut down. You don't hear Russell Findlay saying Scotland should be ruled directly from Westminster. It does not matter how you vote, what party you support, or where you stand on independence. If you believe Scotland should have a say over its own future, then you must recognise the danger that Reform UK represents. Scotland's Parliament is not perfect, but it exists because the people of Scotland demanded it. In 1997, the referendum on devolution was not a narrow result. It was a landslide. The people of Scotland spoke. They wanted power over their own country. They wanted their laws. They wanted their own future. It was not handed to Scotland as a gift. It was won through decades of political pressure and public demand. That power is now at risk. Richard Tice, a member of Reform UK, has called Holyrood a failure. He has openly said devolution should be reversed. He has made it clear that if his party gains influence, they will seek to weaken or even abolish Scotland's Parliament. If that happens, it will not come back. Holyrood will be gone. This is not an isolated movement. Westminster has never wanted Scotland to have power. Devolution has always been a threat to those that believe this nation, Scotland, should be ruled from London. Brexit proved it. Scotland voted overwhelmingly to remain in the EU. Westminster ignored that vote and dragged Scotland out against its will. That same attitude is now being applied to devolution. Reform UK does not believe Scotland should have its own parliament. They believe Westminster should dictate Scotland's laws, Scotland's funding, and Scotland's future. If that power is taken away, it will nearly be impossible to take it back. This is not about whether you support independence or remaining in the UK. This is about whether you believe in Scotland, whether you believe in Scotland should have any control over its own affairs. Even the most pro-union Scot must see the reality. Holyrood has protected Scotland from some of the worst of Westminster's decisions. It has shielded Scotland's NHS from creeping privatisation. It has allowed Scotland to pursue progressive policies that Westminster ignored. It has given Scotland a voice when Westminster would rather it remained silent. If Reform UK succeeds, that voice will be silenced forever. Scotland is no stranger to resistance. Time and time again, Westminster has tried to impose its will on Scotland. Time and time again, Scotland has pushed back. When devolution was first proposed, Westminster resisted it. They feared losing control. When the people of Scotland demanded it, they were told it was impossible. And yet, we won. Devolution, even with its limitations, is still better than what came before. It was a victory for progress, even if it slowed the march to independence. Now that victory is under threat. The fight to defend it will be no easier than the fight to achieve it. But the alternative is unthinkable. Reform UK is counting on our division. They want independent supporters to be disillusioned. They want pro-union Scots to believe that they have nothing at stake, that reform will benefit them. They want people to feel powerless. But Scotland is strongest when it stands together. This fight is not just about one election or one government. It's about defending Scotland's ability to decide its own future. The people of Scotland must act now. Reform UK thrives on political disengagement. They succeed when people assume they will fail. They benefit when people do not turn up to vote, do not protest, and do not challenge their rise. They want Scots to believe that nothing can be done about them, that their victory is inevitable. It is not inevitable. But stopping them requires action. Voter turnout will be key. Reform UK benefits from apathy, from those that assume that someone else will stop them. Is that you? Don't be that Scot. Every single person who believes in devolution, in public services, in Scotland's right to make its own choice, must recognise that this is a fight for their future. Political differences must be put aside. Every party that opposes Reform UK must make their stance clear. There is no neutrality in this fight. A failure to oppose them is a decision to let them win. Scotland's future is something not to be taken for granted. Generations before us fought for it. Now we must fight for it again. Scotland has always stood together against those who would see it silenced. We will do that again. We will stand up and make our voices heard. Anas Sarwar has joked that he would accept Reform UK votes if they were going to make the difference in him becoming First Minister. He jokes about it. The Tories would work with him without a second thought. This is what we are up against. You are living in the same paradigm as the German souls who did nothing about the rise of fascism. Do you want future generations to ask why you did not stand up against this threat? Why you did nothing? Nothing. We are all Scottish. This is our land. This is our country. We have far more positive, progressive values than the likes of Farage and Tice. Think about it. Is it freedom or is it fascism?
You're tearing down the walls we built, brick by brick they fall. Your words become the chains that bind, dividing us all. Can't you see your actions serve the very ones we fight? By fueling fires of discord, you extinguish our light. I refuse to let my children bear a fractured, broken dream, while the British state deceives us, pulling apart our seam. I won't engage in petty spats that mock our quest for right. Our unity's the weapon that will lead us to the fight. Your venom poisons progress, turns our lives into foes. Each insult digs a deeper trench where understanding goes. You're dancing to their melody, a puppet on their strings, while they erode our culture and steal our precious things. I refuse to let my children bear a fractured, broken dream, while the British state deceives us, pulling apart our seam. I won't engage in petty spats that mock our quest for right. Our unity's the weapon that will lead us to the fight. Look beyond your grievances, see the larger scope. Our strength lies in our numbers, in solidarity and hope. Set aside your differences, let go of selfish pride. Together we'll achieve the dream for which our martyrs died. I refuse to let my children bear a fractured, broken dream, while the British state deceives us, pulling apart our seam. I won't engage in petty spats that mock our quest for right. Our unity's the weapon in their manipulative game. We'll stand as one, undivided in purpose and in name. The future of our nation rests upon our unified stand. Together we'll reclaim our rights. Together